Nazis as a name, a dangerous and unethical trend. There has been a problem in the US lately. We have seen a disturbing rise of words like Nazi, Hitler, and fascist used trivially to describe Republicans. Despite it becoming more common recently, this is not a new problem. In fact, it dates back to Senator Barry Goldwater in the 60s. Nazis referred to Jews as Untermensch, which translates to subhuman. In a similar way, we have seen the rising issue of those politically far left using words like Nazi to dehumanize their opposition. It is a deliberate attempt to dehumanize their political opponents. Nazis used this exact tactic against the Jews and anyone else that they deemed a threat to their regime. I want to draw attention to these two images. One is an actual Nazi propaganda poster attempting to get the public to vote for their party. However, as you might be able to tell from the imagery, one of their biggest talking points was preventing the common Jew from taking German jobs and opportunities. It is interesting to see the similarities between this poster and one that was created more recently by a liberal on Instagram. I especially want to draw notice to the comments. Standing up to hate is timeless. Every day until they're gone for good. I want to give them some TLC. Tables, ladders, and chairs. This poster is very obviously meant to represent Republicans, especially after looking into this person's page. And these commenters know it. You can clearly see by the words they're using how this rhetoric has affected their impression of Republicans in general and how they want to interact with them. And yet, when it comes to Nazis, you have to wonder if they even understand what they're talking about, because this is what Nazis were. These are just a select few images of what they did to innocent people. They killed so many people that they would have to stack them up while waiting to burn them. They kept people in beds like livestock, and they skinned tattoos from them to use as wall decorations. Not to mention the things that they have done that were never pictured, like Josef Mengele's experiments on children, or Oscar Dirlewanger's two proven rapes of 13-year-old girls, and the many, many more that he is believed to have committed during his time as an SS officer, which he volunteered for, by the way. You cannot, in good conscience, even consider comparing someone to this. Not ever. And especially when they're not even near this level of evil. Especially when it's just because you disagree with the things they've said. Evil is the most pervasive problem in our world, and the Nazis are an atrociously perfect example of it. When you call someone any of these words, you are comparing them to one of the worst regimes in history. When you call someone these things just because you dislike them, you are destroying and watering down the true weight of these words. You are minimizing what truly happened. Let me read you the quote here, which was from my great-grandfather. In years to come, let no man say that there were no death camps in Germany, for I saw one with my own 2 eyes, and I smelled death inside the compound, and I saw the starving eyes of some of the victims. This is what Nazis were. That is an example of true human suffering and evil. I remember asking him about the war when I was younger. He was 94 at the time, and he was telling me about when he walked through Dachau and ashes were falling on his regiment from the smokestacks. They didn't find out until after the Nuremberg trials what Dachau was, and that those were human remains. And the man I thought of as a real Captain America was nearly tearful from that memory. That is what the Nazis were, and we cannot ever allow people to disrespect the memory of those poor souls they murdered by using these words trivially. This is what happens when people take these words too far. The associations of words like Nazi have awful connotations, so when people are called those things and you start to internalize it, it dehumanizes them. And dehumanization combined with anger leads to hate. And hate leads to violence. And that can lead to good men dying because one person decided to act out of hate. This is exactly what the Nazis did to the Jews. I mean, think about it. If you call people these things, then congrats. Hitler would be proud. But all hope is not lost. There is something that each and every person can do to stop this, including you. Learn to recognize these things when they're happening. Research history. Know the weight these words carry, and call it out. Do not let them get off scot-free. Going back to Hitler being proud, let me quote him for you. "The receptivity of the great masses is very limited. Their intelligence is small, but their power of forgetting is enormous. In consequence of these facts, all effective propaganda must be limited to a very few points and must harp on these in slogans until the last member of the public understands what you want him to understand by your slogan." Adolf Hitler, Mein Kampf, 1926. He was a disgusting man, but he knew what he was talking about. Using Nazi, fascist, Hitler, etc. has become a slogan at this point. Keep an eye out for it, and do not take part. Know your history. Know the weight of these words, know the weight of the evils, and know the weight of the atrocities they carry. And do not let them be misused. And even more importantly, do not let yourself see misuse and accept it as the truth. Call these people out. When you see someone talking like this, do not just move on. Confront them. Tell them exactly what they are doing and exactly why it is wrong. You are the person that can help solve this problem. You are the person who can help fix these evils. Do not back down. And most importantly, have courage. We are Americans. We don't shy away when there's a problem. We do not back down when faced with opposition. Do not be afraid to say something. Do not be afraid to make them well aware of what they're saying. And make sure that you are courageous. Anyone, including you, can do their part. As we've seen time and time before throughout history, enough people can make a change. We may not be able to completely solve the problem, but we can be damn sure we try. Anyone can help, and anyone can be brave. So be brave. Because if we try hard enough, we can be like these men and capture the Nazi flag to prevent it from doing any more damage. Thank you for your time. To explain a little bit about the making of this project, let's start with what I've learned. First, that persuasion has to be from the heart. It cannot be forced or manipulated. Second, people must have options. After all, coercion is not persuasion. Third, to truly persuade, the other person must be affected by the issue. They have to care. And fourth, you must make this need more important than that need. Persuasion aims to tilt the scales. As for the methods I used, one was Monroe's motivated sequence. I addressed the issue of using Nazi as a name, talked about how it's harmful, why it's bad for you, and how we can fix it together. Second, I used some inductive reasoning by comparing the Nazi posters with modern ones, and also noticing the cycle of hate. Casually, I noticed how the cycle of hate tends to cause more political violence than anything else. Basically, the cause is the cycle of hate, the effect is violence. Logos and pathos. I used logos to present the issues logically. This is what the problem is, this is why it's bad. Then I used pathos to appeal to the emotions of it. Look at these problems, look at what they've done, look at how awful they are. I wanted to bring thought and moral conflict to people who use Nazi, fascist, etc. as an insult. I chose this topic for a few reasons, and a big one was what happened to Charlie Kirk. That really affected me and got me thinking about these issues. And I've also personally had experiences with people being cruel due to my political beliefs, which is what first initially got me to notice the issue. I've also noticed a correlation between rising hate like this and the rise of political violence. It is a very difficult topic, but that is why it's so critical to address. And for real this time, thank you for your time.